asked for nudes recently, so there's
Yeah,
that.
they're
There
about
you
to get
go.
it. She's gonna streak through the background.
I think our listeners and viewers would complain very much.
I don't think they would complain either. She's got a hot body.
Aw.
All right.
Hey.
Hey,
All right, we're ready to kick it off?
look at what my
I'm
mug
rolling.
says.
Dead ass
Yes, that's
though.
awesome.
Mine says be bright because I use Christmas bugs year round.
Oh, do you really?
I do because I'm
Oh
too
my
lazy
God. Are
to.
you one of those people that does Christmas carols year round?
No, my son does, but
Mm.
I literally just don't want to buy more coffee mugs.
Oh, got it.
I'm cheap
All
and
right.
lazy.
Well,
You
shall
ready
we
to go?
dive in?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
dive in.
Out of the three of us, I would say Alyssa is likely the most private. So this is like extra fun to me.
Right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, we have had a lot of people asking, like, who's that third voice?
Right. They're about to find out.
Yeah. So
Well, are they? Some people don't even know there's a third voice. Let's be real. Some people don't even know there's a third voice on the podcast at this point. So
I don't know. I see a ton of comments and emails about Alyssa.
yeah.
So they know.
It's been a noticeable difference since you've joined us. So, but
Right.
well, I think I've done a pretty good job so far, totally staying in the weeds. So
You have, like, we've asked you a few things and you kind of figure out a way to deflect.
yeah, that's how I roll.
That must be your radio background. Like, I don't have that training.
I really don't have that training. I like end up word vomiting and saying things that I'm like, I wish I never shared
Same.
that.
Oh my God. I wake up every day with anxiety of like, what the fuck did I say? I know.
What did I say?
What's it?
What did I say after that third glass of wine last night? Oopsie.
Exactly. Oh
Yeah.
my God. It's
It
so
happens.
true.
It happens.
All right. Well, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's. Alyssa, do you want to give yourself a little intro here?
Yeah, sure.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
This is like my bachelorette
I'm a
video
perfectionist. Exactly.
interview, my resume tape.
Mhm.
Yes.
No, it's pretty simple. I've been a broadcaster for a long time. I was born and raised just outside of Atlanta, just north of Atlanta, and have been in Atlanta in radio for, I don't know, I think this month is 17 years since I came to Atlanta to start doing radio. So a very long time. And I met you guys, I don't know, probably last summer is when we kind of started talking about podcasting, and you guys have been doing this a long time.
We were stalking you. You didn't know.
Yeah.
We actually met you a year before in our heads.
I first met you in Midtown, and I think I peppered you with questions the entire
Right.
time about radio. And all
Right.
this
It was just like a dinner party. We just were, talking, finding things in common and talking. And then it turned into, hey, maybe I could make you guys a theme song, or maybe I could make you guys an intro or whatever. And then here we are.
Here we are. You have been a wonderful addition.
You really have.
I
And maybe
appreciate
that's
that.
why we didn't
Thank you.
fully introduce, because we didn't know at that point how kick-ass, how much value you were going to add to the, we thought you would do a lot of producing. We didn't know that you would be such a killer voice on the show to this extent. So now it's time.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys welcoming me in with open arms and putting up with my shenanigans.
It's
Well,
true.
I think it's great too to have you on, since you have been out for so much longer. And like, me and Allie, we're still like in Gaby stage technically.
We really are.
Having only been out
Gaby.
for a few years.
Yeah.
And I think you provide a lot of insight and kind of reel us in a little bit too.
And yeah. What is it about Alyssa that makes her feel like the adult in the room? Like, no,
I think because I'm
girls.
No, I think part of it is because I'm a little lamer than you guys, but also because I am so much further removed from that early, discovery and from, the dating. I mean, Allie, you're in a steady relationship for a couple of years, and Melissa, you've been seeing someone seriously, but been dating around, and I'm so far removed from that. So I think that's part of it too.
Yeah.
It makes me seem like an old maid because I've been in a relationship.
But like, you do say things that it's like the voice of reason, and obviously, like, we're like, well, yeah, duh, but that's not what we did. So, like, you're the adult in the room, and we.
Yeah.
Well, I think early on it's easy to romanticize things too, and when you've been in a relationship, as you were prior, Allie, we've been together for almost 12 years now, and we knew each other about 4 years prior to that. Yeah, it's a totally different perspective. So
Yeah. Well, we like your perspective.
I appreciate that.
Yes,
Cool.
Thank you.
absolutely.
Yes.
Why don't you give us some background too on like a little gist on your coming out story? I think you've shared it a little bit on previous podcasts, but just
Right.
Yeah. So I again, as we've discussed, I'm a gold star lesbian, and that's not really even something that I even knew that was a thing until the last several years when someone else brought it up. But I never had a boyfriend. I never dated, never had a relationship with a guy. So obviously never was intimate with a guy. In high school, it never occurred to me that was not normal, or that, because I had a lot of friends who were single too, and they weren't gay. But I met a woman my freshman year at University of Georgia who was gay. She lived on my hall, and after spending quite a bit of time with her, that's when I was like, oh yeah, got it. So that's when I came out. So I was 18, 19 years old when I realized it wasn't anything that I was suppressing. I just never thought of it as something that was an option because I didn't really know any gay people. But my parents are liberal thinkers and super supportive, so I wasn't really worried about being who I was. So yeah, I came right out of the closet, and the rest is history.
What's kind of like the biggest fallout that you have had since you came out, or pushback, or?
You know what? I really can't think of any. I mean, it was stressful, I think, to tell my parents, not because I thought that they wouldn't accept me, but just because it was one of those, hey, I know that you thought that I was this and now I'm not. But it was, I mean, they diffused it immediately. It wasn't, there was no drama involved in it. And I think any of the fallout that may have happened because of it happened behind my back or unbeknownst to me. And that's perfectly fine because I'm comfortable with who I am.
But are there ever moments where your parents, because they still live in kind of small town Georgia?
Oh yeah.
Are there ever moments where you're around their friends where you kind of see reflected in them, not an embarrassment of you, but just like, here's my gay daughter. Like I feel that with my parents' friends sometimes.
No.
Nothing.
And I think maybe because they're not from that small town where I grew up, they transplanted there. And so they, surrounded themselves with people who were like-minded.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why I was so open and accepting of myself, is because that's the kind of people they are as well. And they didn't have any judgment toward that in regards to other people as I was growing up. So I never felt like it was something to be ashamed of.
Right.
And that came from them.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it really is. That's one of those things that you definitely are a product of your parents in those regards. That's why, racism and sexism and all of those things are passed down generation to generation. You're not born with that. Those are learned behaviors from your tribe.
Right. They made it so acceptable that then it was just like you didn't even have the thought that there was anything wrong. You just went about your life.
That's right. So yeah. I've been very fortunate in those regards. And I think that's also why it was so easy for me to, and we've discussed this before, how we engage children and say dumb things. Like Melissa, you said that people have asked your kids, like, who's your girlfriend, who's your boyfriend? It's like, they're 6. Like, why would you even say that? They don't have any concept of that. But I think that, and I don't know that it was on purpose. I mean, my parents weren't like, let's make sure that my son plays with Barbies and that my daughter also plays with trucks. It wasn't that. I don't even think it was conscious. That's not how they thought. And so I wasn't constantly peppered with, who are you dating now? Or, what do you want your wedding to be like? There wasn't any of that. It was, forge your own path, be you. Here, be an excellent person. That part's non-negotiable. The rest of it, you fill that in. That's up to you. Here are the
Yeah.
things that you will do, and these are the other things that those are kind of up to you. So
Mhm.
yeah,
I think
I'm
that
very
says a
fortunate.
lot, because like considering, I mean, I didn't come from a super religious background, but definitely parents who kind of followed that Southern Baptist path. And
Yep.
then Allie being raised Catholic, I think it kind of shows just how you're raised goes into like who you become.
Yep.
Especially
Absolutely.
like Catholicism is it's a lifestyle. It's almost like Judaism in that way, that to me, it was like a lifestyle. It's
Mhm.
Catholic school. I mean, there's not really Baptist elementary schools. There are
Right.
Catholic schools to form you into the
Yep.
adult. And I mean, I was K through 12 in that regimen.
Yep.
Mhm.
So there really was no room at
Yeah.
all.
You went to like a private Catholic
Private
school?
Catholic school starting in kindergarten, graduated from like, it would be like a Marist here.
Okay.
Very, very strict upbringing, church twice a week, at school, then also with my parents on the weekends. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that
Yeah.
they still embrace. And they would say there's things wrong with the Catholic Church, but there's also a lot right. And you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. Like, I'm out. But they would say that, there's good things about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's one of those things though that that is and this is probably a conversation for a whole other podcast, but there's so much wrong there's so many great things about religion throughout history, and there's so many awful things, and that's part of it, is the indoctrination of it's all or nothing, and you're not allowed to pick and choose parts that you do and don't agree with, even though the religion, guess what? I mean, it hasn't changed all that much in
No.
hundreds of years, and here we are, have evolved culturally to accept so many other things, and I think we're held back in a lot of ways
I agree.
Yeah.
by our anchor that is religion, and so
And fear of it.
it is changing.
Yes. Are you,
Yeah.
Alyssa, religious?
No, I did grow up going to church. I mean, my parents were members of a Methodist church there in town, but again, my upbringing in the church was, this is a community, and hey, we're going to church to have this community and to find ways to be more humble and live more graciously and more giving, and all of the good teachings that come from that. And then when it came to the other judgy stuff, my parents were like, no, we're not. Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
We don't subscribe to that. And they were very comfortable going, no, that's not
That part
that's
we
not
don't
how
do.
we feel about this, or this. But there are always some good things that you can get out of a good sermon. And they're right. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you can wake up every morning and have the golden rule, be your guide, you're going to be a better person. You're going to be a happier person. And hopefully you get that out of church, and then can leave some of the other stuff behind. The hellfire and damnation.
Right.
Part of it.
Which really does go with
Which-
their being an excellent person. I mean, that encouragement to just, I don't care what you do with your life, but be an excellent person. It's much easier
That's
to
right.
do that when you're accepted and you're not held to these doctrines that keep you from being the golden rule.
Right. And I think some people, are drawn to wanting rules because, quite frankly, if you don't have to think about it and the rules are told to you, how nice is that? Isn't that just easier if all the answers are right there for you, and you just, well, you do this, you don't do this, you do this, you don't do this. How nice. But I don't think we need that. I mean, like, I'm a free thinker. I don't need you to tell me how to think. I can figure it out. And again, there are a lot of people who, that's why there's so much hypocrisy, because if your main thing is, the golden rule, but then you're over here persecuting people, it's like,
Right.
well, you're canceling out all of this great stuff that you're talking about and hoping that you're living by. You're canceling it out by going and being terrible to people for
Right.
whatever it is that you disagree with. So
Right.
anyway, I think we went down a religion rabbit hole on that one, but I do think that that's a big part of why I ended up in the place that I'm in, because of that particular mindset of my parents, and their ability to be like, hey, do you be awesome, and that's it.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, Allie and I talk all the time about our catalysts and how we had such intense
Impactful roles.
relationships. Have you ever had a relationship like that with a woman where it was
Yeah.
just intense and like argumentative?
Drama,
Yeah.
toxic.
Well, yes, and I think, for me, but I mean, I was definitely a late bloomer. I would venture, I don't know what the statistics are. I would venture to say that most people have had some sort of romantic relationship, even if it wasn't a serious one, before they started college at the age of 18. So I was definitely late to the game. I didn't have any perspective. I didn't have anything to base anything off of. So yeah, the first one was, especially because my very first relationship was a relationship with a woman, which again, something I haven't seen demonstrated for me before. Turns out it doesn't really make a difference. Again, interpersonal relationships, if everyone's going to good, it shouldn't matter if it's a man, a woman, whoever, it's not like I would have behaved differently if it was a guy, I think is what I'm trying to say. I don't think that I would have. But yeah, I mean, she was a very sensitive person and passionate. So, and I'm not. So that's.
I want to talk about that more too.
Well, I mean, it's true, and you guys know that. I mean, if knowing me as little as you do, that's not surprising. So yeah, I mean, it was me extra intense for me because it also wasn't her first relationship. So it was full of me learning how to be in a romantic relationship
With somebody who's super passionate and excitable in good and bad.
Yes. Yeah. And so I would say that I'm not particularly drawn to that. I can see why it has its excitement. But as far as someone who I want to be with long term, that's not a quality that maybe I hold in high regard for myself.
Would you, like, your partner now to me is pretty level personality, but I would consider her passionate. She has
she is
big opinions, big.
Yep.
She is excitable in that way.
She is. But there's, as far as the communication goes, and I've said this before, she was more of that early on in our relationship. Got hurt more easily and was a little more sensitive than now. But again, that comes with time, and that's a trust thing. So
right.
But yeah, I think the first one was it was definitely very intense and very, because again, I was raw and I was new at
like maybe this is normal.
Yeah. I absolutely. It was my first relationship at all was a relationship with a woman. So there was a lot of learning going on there for me about her and about myself.
Have you ever been cheated? Have you ever been cheated on?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, tell us about that. Was that girl?
So, no, Maria's sister.
Okay, wow. Yeah, those teachers, you can't trust them.
We were trying to do a long distance relationship, and she was at medical school. I had already started my radio career, and that's really hard.
Did she tell you, or did you catch her?
Oh no, I mean we lived. There would have been no way to catch her because we lived in different towns. I mean, she could have done. She could have slept with 100 people, and I wouldn't have known. Like, I mean, we didn't. I only saw her on like every other weekend or something. So yeah, that was one of those situations. No, she told me. Okay. I mean, she came clean on it. I didn't catch her.
Okay. Well, it was honest.
Yeah, I mean, she felt terrible about it, and realized that wasn't something that, and she also realized, and we came to that conclusion that it was going to be if we were to go forward with a relationship, it was going to be a long distance relationship for another, 6 or 8 years. Who wants that? Like, I wasn't willing to stop down my career to go move to where she was, and that's what she wanted. Of course, and I think anyone who's in a relationship would, obviously, proximity is part of it. What's the point of being in a relationship if if you only see each other every now and again?
Right.
And so that it didn't work out for that very reason. Neither of us were willing to, come off of our course of what it is that we wanted to do, and we went in different directions.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
So
understandable at that age too.
Yeah. And I think too, like speaking about, some people probably don't know your radio career. Like tell us a little bit about that, because that's super cool.
well, I went to school for broadcasting. It was something that I've always, kind of wanted to do, whether it was, either even just writing journalism, television broadcast, whatever. And then got a job in radio while I was in school in Athens. And then I just stuck with it because I really love it. I love music. I love pretty much, everything about it. I'm not a performer, I wouldn't say. So I don't necessarily love the stage. But I was still drawn to, storytelling and those sorts of things.
Right.
So yeah, I came to Atlanta in '04 from Athens, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. And you've interviewed a lot of really cool people through the years.
Yep, there's been a lot of interviewing of rock stars and doing stage intros at Phillips Arena and things like that that are, I guess they're kind of cool, but that to me I don't know. I think for me success is longevity, not those sorts of
Peak
little
moments.
milestones. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure. Because
Well,
you have to continue to learn and grow, as technology changes. Obviously, like we're using radio differently than we were using radio when I started in radio back in.
you use like reel to reel.
Oh yeah, yep. Had to use reel to reel and carts.
Yeah, the carts.
All the commercials were on carts, and
Mhm.
we were playing songs off of CDs, and
Literal CDs.
that's yeah.
Like you hit the button, it opens, you slide it in.
That's it. That's
track.
right. Yep, that's right. And we don't do any of that anymore. I mean, it's everything is on the computer and on the database. So, and I think that's probably the case with most jobs, right? I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean, when I started as a TV reporter, we were shooting on like beta cams with like these massive beta tapes.
Yep.
Like, and doing like tape to tape editing and all this stuff. It was so like antiquated.
Yeah.
Even
yes.
in 2003 when I started.
The technology just wasn't there yet.
No, well, some of it was. It was just
They
the
were
fact
just
that I was
broke
working
or like couldn't get all the
shitty TV
equipment.
station in Panama
Okay.
City. They didn't want
They weren't ready to invest.
They're like, you can hold this 30-pound camera on your shoulder, right?
Carry 20 tapes in a big backpack.
Who needs to go to the gym when you've got that kind of equipment that you're hauling around
Very
all the
true.
time?
Very
Right.
true.
Yeah.
I stopped putting the gym when I lived there.
Here's kind of a hard one, Alyssa. Like, what is your favorite characteristic about yourself?
Ooh.
Well, honestly, that one's a pretty easy one for me to answer because I feel like I'm pretty logical and I'm pretty rational and calm under all situations. So, I think that's a really good quality. Can also be the most asked Denise. It could also be the most maddening thing on the planet, I'm sure. At various times, like when you're trying to get a rise out of someone and they're just not, they're just not biting. They're not biting the bait.
What does get you excited?
Excited.
Excited.
Or like amped, like what's something that
like,
you
oh my
like,
God. Yeah.
Yeah. Like good or bad?
Yeah, actually bad.
What gets me? Well, see, here's the thing about being calm and logical and rational is that I don't have very high highs. So that's the good part of that is not having very low lows, but I also don't have very high highs.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's say you bought a new house and you were like furnishing it. Are you like, I get excited about house plants. I get excited about my mug is big as, like if I get the mug I want in the morning.
Oh my God.
I'm excitable. But like, does that get you?
I need to reevaluate my life.
Does that get you amped up? Or if my favorite white t-shirt's clean, like I'm like, My fabric softener smells extra good this day. Like
Oh
I'm a
my
little
God.
jazzed. Are you?
No,
What
yes,
exciting?
my house gets me jazzed for
Mhm.
sure. I like to move furniture around.
Same.
Denise will leave for several hours and she'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get anything new. I just moved it to a place that I thought it looked better. And that makes me
Excited.
very excited. Yeah, for sure. And time with I really enjoy entertaining. Like that's something
Yeah.
that makes me really I just really, really enjoy it. I enjoy other people's company. I enjoy actually the art of, cooking and setting a table and all that. That's something that's really, really
too.
makes me amped up.
Well, we love
I
that
mean,
you
as amped as I can get.
Yeah,
Because
your place is awesome.
Yeah, it's fun to
Also,
go there.
you have 3 pets. Tell us about your little family.
Your squad.
have 2 dogs and 1 cat, all rescues. Did have a horse, lost the horse last year. It was technically Denise's horse, but since we're married, it was mine too. So yes, we'll always have Denise is a certified dog trainer and has volunteered a lot at the Humane Society. So I think that's something that's always going to be a big part of our lives, rescuing animals. Right now we're at our max in our 1,800 square foot house. I think that's a gracious plenty, but yeah, that'll always be something that
I'm pretty sure
that's
you
our family because we don't have kids.
cat, so
What'd you say?
I said I'm pretty sure you dog train the cat because the
Yeah, I
cat
was gonna say.
the most dog-like cat I've ever met.
Oh, the cat is very dog-like, and they're a pack. So you're right. I'm not sure the cat doesn't know that it's not a cat.
Isn't aware.
Yeah, I think it's like, well, this is the 3 of us. We're all dogs, right?
We're all dogs.
Okay.
If you
Go
could
with
only have a
that.
dog,
Let's
do you
go
like
with
the
it.
dogs or the cats better? In general, like, are you a dog person or a cat person?
I would always say that I'm a dog person, although growing up we had both dogs and cats. I think I am a cat.
Okay,
If I had to
personality-wise?
align myself, yes, with one or
Okay.
the other. I'm not temperamental like cats are, but yeah, I'd like to do things on my time.
Mhm.
Dogs are ass kissers, like they want your attention so badly and they're just
Yeah.
willing to do anything to get it.
Right.
And that's not really I'm not as needy as that. But I like them both, and I think they both bring so much different to the table. And it's good practice to realize that, because they're like people and that they've got their own agendas. Everybody comes to the table with their own set of experiences and circumstances, nature, nurture, all that. And it's kind of a puzzle to kind of figure out where everyone's coming from. It's fascinating to me to dissect people in that way and just kind of see where everyone's coming from. I love that.
Yeah.
I love psychology and sociology.
Well,
Fascinating to
everybody
me.
has something. You're right. Like Melissa and I talk a lot about like our childhoods, and even like the book she was reading, Running on Empty, or like what you bring into your adulthood from your childhood. I know what mine is. Like I need loyal people around me that I know I can count on. I don't like people that come in and out and kind of show up, kind of don't. What do you have? I know your childhood was awesome, but what did you bring into adulthood that you battle?
I think, and this is something Allie, you and I have talked about before, I think sometimes I fill my plate too much. And so there's got to be something to that about feeling like I need to accomplish something in order to feel like I'm productive or accepted.
Okay.
So I probably work too much. And I know in this culture we glorify overworking and how it's a badge of honor to work 60 hours a week and all that. There's something to be said for that, but it's like, why? Like, why are you working so much? Are you trying for an award?
But
Is
do
it
you, like, I would say
about
I
the
work so
money?
much because I love it. Like I can't wait to see what project we have coming around. So I'm kind of,
Yeah,
love it.
I do love my work, but there's something else there.
Mhm.
I definitely think there's something else there. I love my work as an excuse sometimes
Yeah.
to
Stay busy.
for as much as I work, but I yeah, I could do better as far as a balance goes. But there's definitely something, I feel like I need to be the best at what I do. And that's definitely some sort of a childhood baggage thing, for sure.
Right.
I don't exactly know the crux of it, but that's definitely something that that drive is definitely something that comes from my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm realizing more and more how much stuff is linked to your childhood. It's unbelievable. So
it really is, because just like we were talking about, religion, you spend, I mean, it's your most formative years. And so you are a product of your upbringing, good or bad. And you had no control over it. Fact of the matter is, I think people do well in adulthood to even realize anything that was even the slightest bit toxic about their childhood, much less do anything about it, because most people don't even get that far.
Right. It's
and
true.
Wonder, like, what are our kids going to say about us? Like, I wonder, you that, Melissa? Like, what are they going to
be like,
reading this mom, book, I mean,
like, oh my God, I need to be a better parent.
Yeah, or like, she left my dad, she was gay. I mean, what will come out 20 years from now?
Yeah. I mean,
well, not even just what will they say, but like, how did that affect them? And how does it affect their relationships, watching you and yours? Like, how does that affect, because it all does. Every single thing that you do or say, even if they can't put their finger on it, it affects them. So no pressure.
Right. It's no pressure.
Right. Like, I don't ever, like, when I'm dating someone, I'm not introducing them to my kids and saying to them, like, this is my girlfriend, or we're together. It's any kind of romantic thing. But like, they know.
Yeah.
And like, I recently got flowers and they immediately knew who the flowers were from. And I was just like, God damn it. Like, how do you guys
right.
And Kaylin was like, it's because it's Valentine's Day. And I'm like, whoa.
Even Valentine's Day. I'm so impressed with the flowers.
I know.
Yeah. Already? It's a full week away.
I know.
She's setting the stage.
Did she screw up and she's trying to like,
No,
over?
We're going on a trip. We're actually going to Breckenridge and going snowboarding. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Has she snowboarded before?
Yes, she has a handful of times.
Okay.
So she's like no professional, not like me.
Right.
But she definitely wants to learn more. So, and I think she'll have an easier time too going out to Colorado because the snow is so much better.
Yeah.
She's only gone in like North Carolina, or in the Northeast.
I think the trickiest part of the whole thing is getting off the goddamn chairlift on the.
You're right.
Every time Maria was doing it, I was like, it's touch or go. I don't know.
Right.
And then I'm like, come sailing down.
Me and Tom used to make a plan. Like, I was like, I'm gonna go to the right, you go to the left.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Because we would slide like every time. And those things.
Oh, I have a great ski lift story. So when I was a kid and we lived in Vermont, and I had a long ponytail. I was on the lift with my I was on the lift with my dad, and we flipped the bar up, and
don't say it got caught in the bar.
It got caught. Oh so when I went to get off, I obviously didn't come, like my butt slid off the seat, but I obviously
God.
Yeah, because I was still I mean, there was a little, there's like a teenager in the little booth right there who cut it off immediately, but I grabbed on. But I was dangling for a second.
Oh my God, that is my nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you still like to ski now? Like,
I know,
that's
right?
Scarring.
Oh no, that wasn't traumatizing. I just, knew then I never again did not tuck my ponytail back down into my jacket, or up into my hat.
I have a new respect for skiing with kids after this past trip we did, because you don't realize it's enough for me to just be responsible for my skis being locked in, my poles getting off. Now we have 4 kids, they're sticks. I mean, Owen redropped his pole, and we had multiple issues of kids getting dumped off, they're cutting the lift, and we're falling on top of each other. I mean, it was just like, holy shit. I don't know how my parents did it so smoothly.
So
Wow.
when I learned to ski, I was about 6 years old, and they, at least for the first full year when I was doing regular ski school weekly during the winter, they didn't let me use poles
That was
because
better. That's better.
you don't need poles because
Yeah.
you're shorter and you have a lower center of
Right.
gravity.
Mhm.
And what happens is you just end up swinging them around and hitting people with them because
Right.
you're a kid and you're so caught up in, you're balancing that you're not really paying attention to everyone around you. And so they're adamant about not letting us have poles
I
for
should
the
have done
first
that.
little while.
Yeah.
And again, because you're so short, you don't need it.
It's
And
too much
also when you
advantage.
fall, it doesn't hurt, because
Yeah.
you're not falling very far. And then
And your
eventually
kid can feel
when
the
you
pain.
start getting taller, and then you need, then they give you poles. But yeah, I'm thinking you guys are talking about going snowboarding. I pushed my upright piano from one room into the other room, and I'm sore this morning. So I'm just the idea of snowboarding makes me sore, like in
I've
all of
been
my.
working out, and like I've actually been like putting my board on and like doing like leg presses and leg lifts and stuff with the board on to try to get ready.
Because it's also like dragging the board in the ski lift
Dude,
line. You're dragging
yeah,
it behind you. A
it's,
step, drag.
it's so exhausting. Like your
It
legs
looks
are so burnt
exhausting.
out. It's like I want to keep going all day, but my legs are just gassed.
Yeah.
So,
What a great workout.
And part of it is there are a lot of little tiny muscles and support muscles that you don't ever use in your
Mhm.
daily life, whether you're working out or not, because it's such a different motion that, I don't know, it would be hard to prepare for something like that and not get sore, at least at
Yeah.
my over the hill age. I would still, no matter what, be sore.
And you're like a year older than me, so yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but you're a gym rat and I'm a,
It's
I-
about
my smartwatch is, just yells at me all day to get
To
up.
breathe.
So. Isn't it time? Haven't you been sitting down long enough? Isn't it time to get up? I'm like, this thing
I know. Mine does me when I've been working
is
all
ostracizing me for sitting down. What the hell?
stand
off my back.
and
God,
breathe.
who needs
I'm
that?
breathing. I'm alive, aren't I?
Exactly.
But my heart rate's good. I mean, that's got to count for something, right? It doesn't say it says that I get good sleep and that I'm not stressed out. I mean, that's got to count for something.
That counts for a lot.
It does.
For sure. Yep. Well, we're running out of
Anyway.
time. It says less than a minute.
Uh-oh. Better wrap.
Yeah. It's time to wrap
So
up.
great episode. Great getting to know you, Alyssa.
Yes. We're very
Thanks again for having me. This has
I
been
had
so
another
awesome.
really hard question and now I'm out of time.
Uh-oh.
We have to save it for our next cocktail party.
That sounds good. You'll probably prefer that because it was a little raunchy.
Oh, good. Thank God.
All right, guys.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.